Hello and welcome back to Dream Big with Amy. I'm Amy, your life and reset confidence coach, and I'm beyond excited for today's conversation. We have someone joining us who is truly the real deal when it comes to manifestation and transformation. My guest today has built an incredible community. She's a best-selling author and she's helping women all over the world step into their future selves right now. And I personally cannot wait to dive deep into her journey and learn from her expertise. Victoria, before we get into the juicy stuff, I'd love for you to share a little bit about you and what you do. And I'm so excited to have you on the show. So, welcome, Victoria Jackson.
Thank you, my love. I'm so happy to be here. So, a brief kind of introduction to me, although you did a fab job with the intro there.
Mm,
I'll be like, okay, my PR girl, love that. So, I run a business, a brand called the Manifestation Collective, and it's basically a membership. It's a podcast. It's a community, and I'm a best-selling author. And basically, my mission is to help people step into their future selves now through mindset reprogramming, through manifestation work, and through self-concept work as well. I think self-concept work is massive,
mm,
and it's something that I've only just started to, I'd say, over the last kind of 3 years actually embrace myself. I think
yeah.
I kind of didn't do a lot of the self-concept work before then. I was teaching about manifestation, and then I decided to go on a much deeper level on in terms of a personal transformation. So yeah, I think one of my biggest ethos, I would say, is I don't believe we have to manifest millions and a mansion to create a really beautiful life. I think what a gorgeous life to you is so specific to you and
Hmm.
your energy that forget the blueprint, forget what
Yeah.
society says. It's all about what makes you feel alive.
Hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I can't resonate more with that. I think it is, you see, well, once I get to $1 million, then I'm happy. And once I get to this, I've just done a post on this, that's why it resonates. And it's like, once I get there, then I'll be happy. And it's like, no, no, we need to get you to the inner full alignment, which is, the day-to-day living, which is where the joy is. Let's take us back a little minute, because I know that's where you are now. I want to know who Victoria was I don't know, a couple of years ago, before all this journey really started. Who are you and what were you doing?
So I was the editor of a fashion magazine,
Oh,
and on paper, it looked so glamorous. Like I was traveling the world, going to all different fashion weeks and living out of a suitcase and meeting all these amazing people. But in reality, I was like crying on the motorway going to work. My hair was coming out. I was at the doctor's for heart palpitations. And I was so stressed with it. And it was like 2015.
mm,
And my mental state was just in a really bad place, to be honest. And it's so funny that you say about when I get there, because I had always dreamt of being an editor of a magazine. I studied journalism at university. And when I got there, I realized, wow, I thought this was going to bring me happiness, and it's not. It's just brought me so much stress into my life. So
mm,
anyway, I feel like now I was like divinely guided to this audio book, which was The Secret. I'm sure everybody has probably heard of that. And I'll be honest, it took me three goes to listen to it
yes.
for it to click, because I have a few reservations with the book itself, but I just didn't get the concept. I just thought I'm northern, I'm cynical. I'll be honest, Amy, I thought what an absolute load of crap this is. I
Hmm.
just didn't get it at all. And anyway, I stuck with it. A friend had said, no, keep going with him. And I listened, and something on the third listen clicked. And
Hmm.
I thought, right, hang on, there's something in me being able to control what's happening for me rather than what's happening to me. So
Hmm.
I really leaned into the first thing I could lean into was gratitude. And all I did
Yep.
was say, right, okay, when I'm driving to work, to get me in a better state of mind than what I'm in, I'm going to be grateful for every green light. I'm going to be grateful for if someone lets me go, if they give way to me. I'm going to be grateful for making it to work on time. And that and it's only such a small thing, but it had a massive ripple effect on
Hmm.
how my day then transpired. So I started to think, okay, there's something here. And I thought, right, I'm going to do a small like experiment. And I said to the universe, everyone was taking the mickey out of me at work, like, oh, you're speaking to the universe again,
Mm,
like doing bunny ears. And I said to the universe, right, I want to see if this is real, if manifestation is real, I'd love to see a pink feather. Show me a pink feather
yeah.
somewhere. And 2 days later, I got an envelope through the post with just a letter in, and inside the letter, it wasn't from
Okay.
a fashion brand or anything, was a pink feather that came out of the
Hmm.
envelope. So again, I thought coincidence, it could possibly
Yeah.
be. I need another sign sign. And these manifestations kept appearing until it got to the point where I couldn't believe that it was anything else at this point. It was, there were too
Hmm.
many coincidences. So by the time 2018 came around, I'd said to the universe, I can't do this job anymore. You have
Yeah.
to give me a sign of what I'm meant to do. And the very next day, my magazine was closed down. I was made redundant after 10 years of working in that job. And I was like, if there's ever a sign to do what I love,
Yeah.
like this is it. So then I started to work for myself, and I started to teach about manifestation just to a
Mm.
community, a Facebook group that I had. And it
Yeah.
organically grew from to that and into what it is now, like,
Right.
books and podcasts and everything. So yeah, that's kind of my story. I've come from a fashion
Mm.
background, very cynical, and then we're here now living a completely different life.
Yeah, no, that's a really beautiful journey, and I can resonate too, which obviously we spoke about previously. And like, you do get them signs, and I also got made redundant, and also like, my marriage broke down, and I thought, okay, this is the time to do something different. And unfortunately, people have to get to that break. Well, I was at a breaking point, and maybe you were too, to make that very much life-changing decision. And it's a shame that I had to get to that point. What do you think for you was that turning point that you think, no, that's it, now I have to make a change? Was it the health? Was it the relationships? What was that point for you?
So this point actually came not so long ago. It was in 20, probably at the end of 2023, start of 2024.
Mm,
And I had been in situationship after situationship, and
hmm.
my self-worth was so low, and my health was in a really poor place. I was in and out of hospital. I have a autoimmune disease, and I had just gone back and forth of just feeling so low. And it's so funny because you can teach everything to everybody else and make
Yep.
sure that everybody else is okay, but sometimes looking after you can be the hardest thing that you do. And that again was a very clear mirror of this lack of self-worth that I had. And anyway, I'd spent days in bed at the start of 2024 after like this another like failed situationship,
Hmm.
and I was done. Like I literally said to myself, I can either stay here or I
Yeah.
can use this as a catalyst. Like I'm literally at rock bottom. The only way I'm
Yeah.
going to do what's going to happen is going up right now, because I felt so bad about myself. And I then spent the next like 18 months working on every area of my life, Amy. I
Mm,
completely radically changed my self concept. So I lost like 80 pounds in weight. I
hmm.
started to do Pilates nearly every day. I turned my business around. So it was well over, it kind of doubled in income.
Mm,
I obviously I then wrote my third book. Like so much changed, and my friendships deepened. And but the most important thing that changed was my self-worth. That was
okay.
I completely cut myself. I just decentered men completely, and I decided to just date myself for a whole year. And
Mm,
I just, oh, it was just the best time. And now I look back at that older Vicky, sorry, that younger Vicky,
yeah,
with so much compassion. And I feel like I just want to hug her, for the things that she kind
I
of
know.
allowed and the boundaries that she let slip. But I knew I had to reach that point to be able to propel forward into how I feel about myself now.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it kind of gets to that point where you are at rock bottom and think the only person who's going to get you out of where you are right now is yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to get to that point. And it is, like I say, it's a shame, but that is that turning point for me. It was like setting off on that one-way flight, which then I didn't realize back 3 years ago was my point of a destination to make a change, and that change
Yeah.
then become the rest of my life to this point. But it's an exciting journey, so let's get into manifestation, because I think it's a these days it's a buzzword now. 10 years ago, I don't know, because I wasn't into manifestation, so I don't know how it was. But tell us about what it is for those who have no idea.
So I explain it in a really simple way because, like you just said, then I feel like there are so many buzzwords. I feel like people really overcomplicate things.
Mm,
So to manifest is to quite simply bring something to life to change your reality using the power of your thoughts. So
Yep.
the more that you focus on something, the more that your brain, there's something called your reticular activating system, will actively go and seek out proof and evidence of what you're focusing on. So whether you believe in source, in the universe, God, whatever it might be, or if you're more kind of logical and like the science behind it, there's always a way to look at it because it's very
Hmm.
practical. The more that you think about something and take action towards that, the more likely it's going to be it's going to manifest into your life. But obviously, I am connected to universe. I believe that I'm co-creating this life,
Hmm.
and I will then spot signs and opportunities that I might not have done unless I start with me thinking about the things that I want to bring into my life. So yeah, so on a really simple term, to manifest is
Yep.
to bring something to life with the power of your thoughts.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, perfect. And about being that gratefulness, you said about gratitude. How important is this? Because I know, and I really do try, but it's not a constant thing. Like how do we bring that into our lives? Is it a practice that we have to do every day? Is it
Yeah, you know what, I don't think it comes naturally. I think the
no?
busyness of every day, I think we can become, and we don't mean to. I think it's just a human response to be reactive to the now. So we kind of become complacent to what we have surrounding us. So I used to force myself to do and actually I say force is a wrong word because it's a really beautiful practice, but to do a gratitude shower. So I would get a
Okay.
shower and I would quite literally say, as I'm getting showered on a morning, to say everything that I'm grateful for and to imagine and visualize that everything that I want to release and all the negative energy from the day before is just going down the plug hole. And it,
Mm,
it sets you up perfectly for the day. And I actually
hmm.
play like worship instrumental music in the background as well, just to really, it's about raising your vibration. That's the
Yes.
most important thing because when we think about the energetic, like the emotional
Hmm.
guidance scale, sorry, I don't think it's natural to think that we can always feel the energy of joy because life is life in sometimes, right? But
Hmm.
I think even in my most challenging times, I've been able to look for glimmers. And it
Okay.
could literally be one of the biggest glimmers that I have, Amy, is like when I look outside and if the sun is dappling through the trees, or, like when it's, dappled light, I
Mm,
just love that. And that's like just a little glimmer to remind me that actually there's so much beauty surrounding us, so many moments of magic that we just have to come into the present and focus on them for a second.
yeah. Yeah, no, I see it all the time, especially with what we do in the practice that I do. And I see it, it's like, but we're always looking for the future. Like, well, yeah, but these things haven't happened, so I'm just going to give up. I'm going to give,
Yeah.
this isn't working for me, so I give up. And I think the problem is, was, one of the books that changed my life is The Power of Now. And, it's living in, I've really struggled with that anxiety because I'm not living in the present moment. And that is the most important thing is about how can we in our busy lives just be in the present moment right now? How can we
Yeah.
practice that?
I think one of the biggest things that I did, and I know what you mean because we want to step into that vision board that we've kind of got the vision board and we're like, but I want this
Yeah,
reality now.
yeah.
So in terms of the self concept work that I do, I will literally ask my future self how she's going to approach today, or if I go downstairs and have my lunch, I will sit and I just tap into myself and I'll say to future
Mm,
me, how am I going to approach this afternoon? Like, what am I going to do that's actually going to make me feel more abundant, that's going to make me feel more aligned, that's going to help me take action? And just allowing that voice to come through is so powerful. I think it's one
mm,
of the best things you can do. But I know exactly what you mean about we want, and I think as well, we're kind of measuring all our success and all our kind of day compared to what we see on social media. So we see people seemingly getting things in an instant, like
yeah.
a microwave generation, and it's not true. We don't
Mm-mm.
see all the background work that people have to do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You've been doing this since, 20, you said this journey kind of started at 2015. This is
Yeah.
a gradual journey for you of the manifestation, the secret, learning this practice that you are now part of. What do you think has been like the biggest misconception about manifestation that people get really wrong that you want to clear up that you say, no, that's not quite right?
I think the funniest thing I hear is when people go, well, I thought about winning £1 million, it didn't happen. And I'm like,
Yes.
guys, right. First of all, we
Yeah.
need to meet the universe halfway and start taking some action. I think people just think with manifestation, you're going to think of something and it's going to instantly come to reality. Things arrive in divine timing. They arrive when you are the
Hmm.
version of you that can hold the magic. And I always say this because we think that let's use an example. I used to believe, I used to try and manifest that I could have a six-figure business.
Yes.
But was I the version of Vicky that could handle a six-figure business when I wanted that? No, because I didn't even know how to register for VAT. I didn't know how to handle 400 people in my membership. There were all these things that I wouldn't have been able to do. So all of the lessons and the data that I have collected over the years of being redirected by the universe and doing everything that I thought I was meant to do and then going a different path, it was all to get to a point of being the version of me that could actually not just receive the magic but keep hold of it as well.
Hmm.
And I think one of the biggest misconceptions, like I say, is like people think that we don't have to take action, and we absolutely do need to take action. We need to meet the universe halfway in some way. Yes, a manifestation could arrive without you doing anything, but I feel like you are going to manifest your dream life a lot quicker when you actually step into the version of you who already has it, who, tapped into that future version of you.
Hmm. Yeah, beautiful. Let's talk about that because I think a lot of people say, yeah, but I wrote, I hear it a lot, so I can say it, but hey, I wrote down my dreams and I sat there and I visualized it and I'm like, okay, but did you feel it? Like, do you feel
Mhm.
that energy? And most of the time the operating or that nervous system is out of control, i.e., like it's, nervous, anxiety, all them things. And it's like that isn't going to come in. So how can we practice? Well, how would you advise someone to practice who is saying I'm writing it down every day. I write it. I'm saying it, but it's not happening.
Well, I love what you said then, like literally, are you feeling it? And when I think about that money situation, when people say, oh, I'm trying to manifest money and nothing's happening, and I'm like, can you notice how much of a lack energy you're in right now? So how do we move from this lack energy into feeling abundant? Because the feeling, it's not the money in the bank that you want, it's
No.
the feeling that it's going to deliver to you, whether it's relief, whether it's happiness, whether it's whatever that feeling might be. So we start to think about what is the feeling that that money is going to deliver to you, and what are you going to how are you going to feel when you use that money as energy. And then you start to tap into another time, for example, when you might have felt that way, or look for abundance all around you. I always
Yeah.
say to people, a great way to feel abundant when you're not in the financial position that you want to be is to look at the month prior and write down everything that abundance allowed you to do.
Mm,
So it could be literally, okay, well, it allowed me to go to the coffee shop and I sat there
yeah.
with my laptop. I got a new book that I really liked. Whatever it might be, really look at your spending. And when you start to see this list, you're like, oh my God, actually, the abundance that I
Yeah.
had, whilst I could go into a lack mindset and think it's never enough, actually, it's allowed me to do so much. And
Mm,
again, it's this energy of gratitude, because when you are grateful for the abundance that's been delivered, you're open to receiving more abundance that the universe can deliver to you.
mm. Yeah, I love that. That's really powerful. And I think that's something I need to practice. I think because nothing is never enough. I think that's
Yeah.
that's the, you get to, we had certain things in our lives and you think, "Well, but I want more. I just want
Mm-hmm.
that bit more because then once I get there, I'll be okay." And it's how do we sit in this moment now? And I think money, I think everyone would be very interested listening to this. I think everybody would like some more in their life. Like I just need
Yeah.
that bit more. Um, but if you're not accepting what you have right now, and you're in, it's like if you don't have something, you want more of it. It's that lack mindset. I just want
Yeah.
more. But you need to be grateful with what you have. So I think that is a great way to say it. What would you say for someone who is thinking, yeah, but I need that little bit more. I need that little bit of step. It's like, but what can you do right now? What can they do
I
in
would
this?
say, I mean, I love EFT tapping. I'm an EFT
Mm,
practitioner, so that's the emotional freedom technique. I would tap on and you can find lots of videos on YouTube
yeah.
for this as well, definitely about lack mindset and what that's actually bringing up for you, because I would start to question the word of need. What do we need?
Mm,
So so I'll just share a bit of my story, I mean, in terms of money.
yeah.
When I was in my 20s, before I discovered manifestation, anything like that, I was in like £30,000 worth of debt. Like I'd
Hmm.
got myself in such a bad situation in terms of money. And actually, I want to reframe that because I don't want to use the word good or bad, because it is just a situation.
Yes.
So, but my mindset around it was in a really negative place. And I had to, first of all, I had to stop hiding my reality,
Yes.
because that's what I was running from it all the time. And it was making it worse. And I think it's just about looking at the word need and saying, do we need this or do we desire it? Like, what do we get to
Mm,
feel? Because with the word need, it's that lack, it's the showing that I don't have it or else I won't need it. So, how do I get to feel? It's almost like tapping into your body and saying, how would I get to feel if it was already here? You only need to do it at maybe a minute a day, just a quick
mm,
visualization. How would that feel if it was already here? Because what that's going to do is just allow your nervous system for you and your subconscious just for a second just to think, okay, we're safe, because
mm,
that's the main thing. It's the feeling of being unsafe, of it feeling unfamiliar.
hmm.
So tapping on that, and I honestly, I adore subliminals. I think subliminal audios are incredibly powerful. They
Okay.
completely changed my life. And I started by just listening to them on YouTube. And then
Yeah.
I've actually started to record my own, but I do
Mm,
them for people, but I record my
yeah.
own personal ones as well. And I think they're so powerful to just reprogram the mind to while you're multitasking with the
Okay.
beliefs of what you actually want to, what a belief that is going to serve you more. So actually, a belief when you're thinking about money is abundance gets to flow to me so
Hmm.
easily. Like I am so open to abundance coming into my life. I don't need anything, but I desire it. I desire a better life. The
Yeah.
universe is co-creating this abundant life with me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that. So you listen in the daytime or when you go to sleep? When do you listen?
I actually have a routine where I put my subliminal on. I do my gratitude shower, and then when I come out, I have a 10-minute subliminal that I listen to as I'm getting ready for the day.
Mm,
Because then it's just
okay.
it's running in the background. I'm getting ready. I feel like I'm on top of the day, and it's just, yeah. I love a habit stacking task. Like I,
Yes, me
I
too.
love habit stacking.
Yeah, I do. I think that's really powerful. Tell me a little bit about, I was reading last night about some of your manifestations that have happened. And as I spoke about a bit before, it's like some of the things that have come into my life too. So I would love to hear about some of the things you have created and have entered your life from manifesting.
Yeah, I have manifested. Obviously, I feel like I definitely manifested my redundancy, which was the best thing that could have
Mm,
happened to me. I've manifested my book deals because in 2017, I put a Facebook status up, which is lovely. I can still see it. But it was like just to let everybody know and let the universe know I am manifesting a book deal.
oh,
And then I got an email out of the blue on the
no way.
21st of March, 2021, saying, Hi, Victoria, we have found your blog on Google. We're looking for a writer to do a book on manifestation, and it needs to be a real beginner's kind of guide.
Mm,
We'd love to speak to you about it. And that was like the start of that journey. But I could never have predicted that that would have come
mm,
out of the blue. That's the way that it was meant to be sent to me. I have manifested my dream house because
mm,
I came across this house that I'm in now
okay.
the week before Christmas. And I was like, I wasn't even planning on moving, but it was the street behind my sister's house and very, so
Mm,
I wanted to be close to my niece. And it was for rent. So I was like, right, I'm going to move. I'm going to rent this house. And I was like, I'd love to live here. And then my landlady, like a year ago, came to me and
mm,
said, would you want to buy it off me? I think I want to sell it, but I would prefer, I like you as a tenant. I don't want to throw you out, but would you be in a position to buy it from me? And I was like, give me a year and I will buy it from you. So that's what we're journey we're at now. So by the end of this year, I will own this dream house that I'm
eh,
living in. So I'm really happy about that. I've manifested trips to Hong Kong, to San Francisco, to LA, New York. The
mm,
book publisher that I'm with now,
yeah.
this is a really crazy story. So in 2020, I went, obviously, when it was lockdown, I didn't have a garden. I lived on a top floor flat.
Mm,
So I used to go to this park and I took this book, which was 101 Essays to Change the Way You Think by Brianna Wiest. And
okay.
it's
Oh,
like my
yes,
favorite book
yes. I
ever.
love that.
Yeah, best book I've ever read.
I
So
do.
I sent it to a couple of my friends and I sat in that park and I said, one day I will have a book like this.
Mm,
And I got an email from a company and I thought, where do I recognize that name from? And they'd said, we've read your books. We'd love to offer you a book deal. Would you want to speak to us about a book deal? It was Thought Catalog, which is Brianna's publisher.
oh,
So it was
yes,
the
they're
publisher from the
amazing.
same book. And I was like, I
Yeah,
can't believe the
that's amazing.
synchronicity of this. So that's
Mm,
who is the publisher of my third book, which is Reset, that came out last week. So
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Is it, I mean, I say this to a lot of people because obviously, as you know, I'm into manifestation, but I say be careful what you wish for, right? Be careful what you put out there. Someone might say, I want to go to the biggest podcast in the world, right? Be careful because even if it doesn't happen now, it might happen in 3 years' time. You just don't know what's going to come through. So, in that, like, what would you say, like, things that you put out there might just happen.
I would say don't worry about, because I think people get in a bit of a tiz and think, well, what
Yeah,
if I
that, oh,
say
I shouldn't
something
have
and
said
it
that.
happens? Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, don't worry, because what it is, it's the compound effect of
Yes,
the
exactly.
saying it. If you say something once or twice, it's not going to happen. But I'll give you an example. In the run up to going to New York, into Hong Kong, sorry,
Yeah.
because I have a peanut allergy, really severe peanut
Mm.
allergy, I was getting really stressed that I wouldn't be able to eat anything other than like
Oh
Starbucks or
yeah.
McDonald's or the things that I could trust. Because and so all I kept repeating was, I'm not going to be able to eat anything in Hong Kong. And I said it
Mm.
for 3 months. On the plane over to Hong Kong, I got the norovirus and I ended up being
Oh,
sick for 9 days. And then I ended up coming back home again. I didn't eat a thing. And I thought, oh my God, I've quite literally
yeah.
manifested not being able to eat anything in Hong Kong because for
Okay.
3 months I've reaffirmed this belief.
So it works
And
the other
yeah,
way.
yeah, did it the other way. But again, it's the compound effect of what you are saying over time. And
Hmm.
I in 2017, it might sit because it might seem like a big gap between 2017 saying I want a book deal and it happening in
Yes.
2021. But within that time, I had to hone my style of
Yep.
writing. I had to learn my craft. I had
Yep.
to grow my audience. It couldn't have happened in 2017. Again, I had to be the version of me that could hold the magic when it was ready to arrive. So don't worry if
Mm.
your manifestation isn't arriving yet. It's not. I always say, a delayed wish is not denied. It's not.
Hmm.
It's not denied to you. It's just kind of things are happening in the background. You are becoming that person that you need to be.
Yeah, I agree. And I completely, resonate with that so much because like the coaching journey that I'm on, I couldn't have done this 3 years ago. I was not in the right frame of mind, as you know, like going through like the early divorce and everything. I couldn't hold this space. There's just no way. And as we go on this, as you are, have been on that personal development journey and being on the courses and all that, we have to grow within our energetics. We have to grow as into this into the higher power, which I also believe as I go more in the business route, I'm more on the spiritual realm too, because I know I'm not alone in this. And I tap into that every morning like you do. And I'd love to hear about what is your morning routine, if you have one, because I think it's a really great way to set you up for the day ahead and what you use in your practice.
Yeah, I will always start, and this people think this is such a weird thing to do, but the first thing I do when I wake up is I drink a glass of water, but I
Me
say
too.
thank you to the
So
water.
do I.
Do you? Oh my God,
Yeah.
yeah, I just love it. I think it's almost like
Water
just
holds
filling
the
your body with
energy.
so much goodness.
Mm,
And then I'll do my gratitude shower, I'll do my
okay.
subliminals, and I will literally just check in with future self. I'll just check in
Okay.
with future me and just quickly ask them, what are we going to do today? Like, how are we going
Mm,
to approach the day? And then if I need to journal on it or whatever it might be, sometimes I don't need to journal on it, but and I'll always look at my vision board and just reconnect with that desire of what I'm building. But
mm,
sometimes I think there's this almost like this pressure that we put on ourselves to have this perfect morning routine. But I love the idea of like a pick and mix. Like,
me
that you've
too.
got tools that you like and
Hmm.
just dip into whatever feels good on that day. As long as you're doing something to raise your vibration, we're all good.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I definitely think a morning routine, like, people say, I don't have time, Amy. I can't do that. I said, please just try 10 minutes earlier than your normal wake up time and just do something for you. This is not about anyone else's energy. This is your energy because this is a part of what sets you up for your day, for your life. I love that. Absolutely. Vision boards are a huge thing. Just seeing it, living in that mindset. Okay, let's touch on your book because I'd love to hear more about this reset. It is on my list. I know it's only, has it just come out literally this
Yeah,
month? Yeah.
came out the
Uh,
5th of December, 5th of
wow.
Jan. So yeah.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about that, where people can buy it and what it's all about.
So it's called Reset, and
Hmm.
the byline is realign your life and become magnetic to your manifestations.
Mm, love
And
that.
after I kind of changed my entire like self concept and everything, this is when I was never meant to write a book about it, but I started to think about this reset formula. And I
Hmm.
knew that at first I needed, when I did all this change, I knew that I reflected. First of all, I had to reflect and see what is out of alignment. Like, what is it that's causing me to feel like this?
Yeah.
Amy, when I tell you that I broke down every single area of my
Yeah.
life to the bare bones to rebuild it again. So that was reflection. And then I knew I wanted to really tap into like energetic realignment.
Yeah.
And I had to look at, I decluttered, not just physically, But old beliefs, I decluttered digitally. Like I went through my phone, I deleted every single number of everybody, like every
Mm,
man that I'd ever met.
yeah,
Like it was like I had
that's
to
a good
get rid
one.
of this past version of me and this old energy. But then I looked into self then, and as you can see, it's starting to spell out reset because this is what we're so the S in reset is self. And this was really where I looked at self worth, self love, self discovery, self devotion, self trust. Self trust was a huge one for me because what I found I was doing was I would never ever let anybody else down. But if I'd have kept a promise to myself, I would always
Mm,
flake on myself. Like I would say, right, tomorrow is the day that I'm going to do this.
I'm
And
giving
I would
up.
flake on myself. I wouldn't do it. The self trust was absolutely on the floor. So that was the thing that I had to really work on. And I did that and I'm going off on a tangent now, love, but I really worked on my self trust by setting tiny, tiny little habits, tiny things that I could agree
Hmm.
to. And this is where the idea of dating myself came in because I was like, no, once a week, I am going to take myself out on a date. And that is going to build the self
Ah,
trust that I'm going to keep the promise to myself. But it's also going to build my self worth. It's going to show me what I desire from a relationship, how I want to be treated. Because the reason why I was attracting so many poor situationships and that were really just not good energies to be around was because I didn't
mm-hmm.
like myself. So I was literally attracting people into me that mirrored that back to me. And I could only see that in hindsight, when I
Yeah,
started the
exactly.
work.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, so then we get to the second E in reset, and that
Yeah.
was embodiment. And then we
Mm-hmm.
look in the book, we talk about how you really step into your future self in the now and the small changes that you can do in your day and how you can act as if. And then the T in the reset formula is thrive. Because what will often happen is we will start this loop of right, I'm going to change my life and I'm going to do
Yeah.
it all. I'm going to change my body, my bank account, my business, everything. And we try to do so many things at once that we become overwhelmed and we never close the loop. We never close the loop. We never get reach the end thing where a habit is really a habit, where the life
Yes.
changes. So I decided instead of trying to change everything at once, I'm going to change one thing a month. And that's all I'm going to worry about. All I need to think about. So in month one, I was like, all I want to focus on in this first month of like resetting my entire
Yeah.
life is I'm going to look at reflection. And all I'm going to do is just work out what's not, suiting me right now, what's not aligned. And then the next month, I was like, I want to focus on my healthy eating and just fueling. I really focused it around fueling my body with beautiful energy
Yeah,
rather
that's
than
true.
things that drained me. So I really focused on that. And then it went on and on and on. And by the end of 18 months, like my entire life looked different. But because it didn't happen overnight, it was like the compound effect of these small little changes that I was making. And that's where the book came along. And it's just I think when people hear the word reset, it's almost like, oh, well, I'll move my furniture around in my bedroom and I'll create a new plan, I'll get a new planner.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, this book is about a deep reset on a soul level.
Okay.
So yeah, I love it. It's
That's
probably,
amazing.
and I say this, it is the best book I've ever written. And
Yeah.
I just say that because it's like so full of everything that I did and it's full of it asks you to do the work. It's not just something that you're going to read and put down.
Mm-hmm.
It asks you to do the work for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And you've been through this. This is
Yeah.
about your journey and how that feels for you. And you couldn't have done this any sooner. That's what we talked about. You've been doing this for a long time on this journey. So that is really like an amazing thing. And it sounds so beautiful that you can do that and give back to others because I'm sure it will change people's lives. So that's amazing. I would love for you to give to our listeners who maybe right now are in the middle of a transformation. They don't really know what direction to go in their life. Then maybe not on the spiritual journey yet, but they don't really know how to take that first step because everything's overwhelming. We've been there, we've been in that place, and it's really, I would say that first step is the hardest step. What would you say right now to that person listening?
Oh my God, it absolutely is the hardest step because you feel overwhelmed. And again, this is why I did the power of one. I call it the power of one because it's just choosing one area of life.
That's
So
fine.
if somebody's listening to this and they're thinking, I feel so out of alignment, I don't even know where
Mm,
to start,
mm,
I would say, let's look at something that doesn't feel overwhelming to change, but it could bring you happiness. So it
mm.
might just be all it could be is a morning routine. It might
Yeah.
just be making the environment that you're in feel more you, feel more connected to who you are. And what it is, it's almost like I call it a life snagging list. And you literally go through each area of your life and you create a list of all the little jobs, all the little things that you need to do that are created, they're almost like um creating energy in your head, and you want
Hmm.
to get them out and get them onto paper and put them onto paper, and you make this list, and all you need to do is just start ticking one thing off at a time. And over time you will start to realize how much clearer your energy is, because the reason
Yeah.
why you're stuck and you're not able to receive guidance or have any ideas that are coming, it's because you're so blocked. You're so
Yeah.
blocked by all of the thoughts and energy that you've got going in. So you almost want to get that out, get it onto paper, and start seeing it as a way of, like if you need to, it's even small things, ring the doctors, order your vitamins, like reply to somebody, do your tax return. There are so many different things that we
Gosh,
have going on in our mind at all times. And I just think there's so much power in pen to paper.
me
Like,
too.
honestly, incredible.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. That's what I do to tell anyone like to start with is like I never journaled, I never did any of this. So this is like a new thing in my last 2 years is the journaling and then it's like how to journal. What do we say? Do we say like do we write the bad things down like hey, anxiety's here today. Hello, welcome. It's like oh, everyone's like I'm very nervous to journal if I've never took
Yeah.
pen to paper.
I
Um
think people sometimes get really nervous to journal. One, because they're scared of other people reading it, and they're
mm,
scared of what might come out, and then they're thinking, "Am I solidifying this to the universe? Like, what am I doing when I'm writing this down?" If you ever feel like you don't want to journal, I love to riff. I will speak out loud and I'll write out. It's almost like I'm speaking to the universe,
okay.
and I will drive and I will speak out loud what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, almost just like a stream of consciousness that you would when you're writing, but I'll
Yes.
just speak it because there's so much power still in your voice. You don't have to write it down. And think of it like once you get the words out, you're just releasing it. And it's
It
either going to
is.
go the way that it needs to towards the universe, or it's going to go the way that it needs to be released and done and dusted.
Mm, yeah, that's a good way to do things. And I also love that you mentioned about the date with yourself. And most people, like I ask, is one of the first things is like, where is the fun in your life? What do you do? And none. There is nothing. And it's like we need to bring that back into life. Where is the fun gone in all of our lives, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like a guilty pleasure. Oh, well, I'm not allowed, I don't think I can do that. So what do you do for fun in your life and how do you incorporate it now into maybe in your daily life?
I love Pilates, like reformer Pilates.
Mm,
That I am
that's
coming
fun.
from a girl who never exercised. Literally,
Yeah,
that's what I mean when I've changed my self-concept completely. So I have my own like reformer now. Like I've actually
cool.
gone to like the next level of
That's so
reformer.
cool.
And I love badminton. I love kind of going on these solo dates. With when I did this kind of challenge that I set myself, I did a beach sunset picnic. I took some snacks down to the beach.
Mm, I love that.
What else did I do? I did a candlelight concert. I took myself for a meal on an evening. I went to the art gallery and went, for a little wander around. Like I literally did so many different things.
Yeah,
And what I would say to people is, I think we become so consumed when we think about going out and doing something by ourselves because we think,
yeah,
what are people going to think? And
exactly.
actually, nobody cares. Everybody's so consumed in their own life that nobody cares if you're by yourself. I went out on a Saturday night into Leeds, where I'm from in the UK, into a busy restaurant, and I got a table for one. And that really pushed me out of my comfort zone because I was surrounded by families, by couples. And I sat there and I took a book because the book and the phone felt like an anchor to me. Like I felt safe that I could just read my book. And I was looking around and I was looking at all these people who weren't even speaking to each other. They were just sat scrolling on the phones and they weren't having any conversation. And it allowed me almost like the space to think, is this what I want from a relationship, or do I want this from a relationship? And you see couples who were just talking and sharing about the day. And it was just a really lovely moment and it really pushed me out of my comfort zone. But I'm so glad that I did it.
Yeah. I mean, you say that, and that resonates with me because the day I flew from London to Mexico, my first ever solo journey, and the time I left the UK for good, I went to the first day I went to a busy restaurant, never done a coffee date on my own. I mean, I was always with my family or my ex-partner, I was never alone. To go in a restaurant and sit with a book was one of the scariest things I've ever done. And from that date, like now it becomes so much easier. I'm fully digital nomad, so I can go pretty much anywhere, but that is. what it takes sometimes is actually just doing that one thing that is scary to start
Yeah.
with.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And you're right, because it is scary and it feels really nervous and because it feels unfamiliar to you. And your subconscious is telling you all the reasons why you shouldn't do
hmm
it. But actually, I remember when I went on my first solo trip, and that was to San Francisco.
oh yeah.
And I remember going, and when I came back, I thought, oh my God, the world has opened up. Like, I feel like the world is my oyster because I don't have to wait for anybody anymore to do anything.
hmm Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, traveling is a big part of that journey and of my life too, and it does make you think slightly differently. But anyway, as I would love to finish up with, I ask everybody, what are you dreaming big for in 2026? Like, what is your big goals or big dream? It could be personal, it could be in your business, and yeah, I'd love to share it with us.
Do you know what? It's funny because I wouldn't even, are we going to class this as big? Obviously, I want to buy the house that I'm in now, but my
That's
theme
big.
for 2026 is the art of living. And I really want to remove myself from being online so much. I want to get back
Mm,
to writing, just writing like things for, I've got like a secret Substack I don't tell anybody about. And I
mm,
just write on there for myself and
okay.
really just get back into, because for many years I've written, obviously, I've written as a journalist, I've written
Yes.
as an author. I can't wait to just write little like love letters from the universe just for me, and whoever comes across it is meant to
Mm,
come across it. And I don't, it's not a big dream, but for me, I've had many years of of growth and me pushing and really expanding myself. And I think this
yeah,
year I almost just want to be in this energy of stabilization and just enjoying the fruits of my labor
exactly.
and just enjoying life.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful. I mean, you've got the book, you've got all these things. It's like, what's next for you? You know, you've done some of these things that maybe you never thought were possible for you. So, enjoy that and sit with it. And one of the things we struggle with, and I don't know if it's like us or as women, but celebrating of the things we've done. Look at
Yeah.
what you've achieved. To sit back at that and like, wow,
Yeah.
I'm
I
doing
just want
things
to
that I
enjoy
never thought.
it.
Yeah,
Because we're so
it's
quick to move on to the next goal and we move the goalpost further and further and further away. And I'm tired of doing that. I'm 41. I want to enjoy life.
yes. And so you should. You definitely should
Yes.
enjoy it and keep manifesting, and who knows what will come next for you. But I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this conversation. I think it would really help some people right now, especially on their start of their journey into manifesting. Yeah, so if you got anything, is the best way to like connect with you? Where's the best place to listen to you? Because you've got an incredible voice. I think I could sit and talk to you all day.
I think the thing with me, I have just kept one name across the whole internet. So it's
Yeah.
just the Manifestation Collective on Instagram, on the podcast, on the website. So if you search for the Manifestation Collective,
Okay.
you will find me.
Beautiful. Sounds amazing. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And I hope everyone buys this book because it sounds absolutely amazing and will really help and be powerful for so many people. So thank you. And thank you for taking your time out of your busy day.
Thank you so much, love.
You're very welcome. And thank you to my amazing listeners for listening to Dreaming Big with Amy. And remember that your future self is always listening. It's time to reset, realign, and keep dreaming big.